This week in That Just Happened, we're just talking about zombies, man. That's all we got. Lady nerds and fella nerds, you have tuned into the review show that you cannot afford to miss, and I like to call it That Just Happened. It is the review show that is usually late to the party if it shows up at all. We will probably be talking about that thing that just came out, at least to some respect. We will also very likely be talking about a thing that probably happened 4 years ago, and I just now finally got around to digesting it myself. Either way, it will be a good conversation between old friends. So let's talk about that which has happened. So it's been a week. Yeah, not quite the week that I was hoping it was going to be, but it was a week nonetheless. And I mean, I guess technically we're not just talking about zombies. We have Job for a Cowboy, the new record came out. Worth a listen. If you are into the heavy stuff, then absolutely Job for a Cowboy's new Moon Healer record. It's the musical suggestion on the main show this week. It's absolutely a thing that happened this week, and sure, that should be on the list, so we're going to add that real quick before I forget to put it in the notes later. But the big thing this week is The Walking Dead. Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. First episode was on the 25th, so on Friday, and oh my god, this show, or on Sunday rather, was it? Yeah, because today's, yep, Sunday. But this franchise just does not stop, and that's kind of amazing that it's still finding compelling stories with these characters. I know there are some comic books, specifically like Spawn, that have been a continuous story for decades at this point, so it shouldn't be that surprising, but it's just such a different medium that people lose interest really quick in certain things. And we got, what, 12 seasons of the mainline series. We got 7 seasons, I believe, of Fear the Walking Dead, plus the 1 season of The Walking Dead: The World Beyond. There was the digital season. We have a lot of content here. We have a lot of world building that's gone on, and it's not perfect. It's not without its plot holes and stuff, but it is fairly consistent and getting better. Like, there were a couple of years where it dipped, and that's understandable because, you know, shifting producers and directors and writers and so on and so forth will do that to a show. But they kind of stuck the landing with the main series. That the last 2 seasons are fantastic, and they set up the rest of the franchise to go forward and do all kinds of expansion so beautifully. We just have a little bit of an issue. This is not as compelling as the first episode of the Daryl Dixon Show. The final 5 minutes of this, I think, makes up for that. But my biggest gripe with this is the soldier, I can't think of his name, Okoye, the soldier who is trying to train Rick to be a leader and to overthrow the government from the inside or whatever, who then, spoiler alert, is no longer with us by the end of the first episode. I don't know if it's, I don't know where the issue is specifically, but either he's making poor acting choices and just comes off as cardboard, just two-dimensional. Every time he opens his mouth, I want to fall asleep. Or maybe he was directed to be stern and just didn't understand how to do that, so he comes across, I don't know. But it's either on him or on him and the director for not, you know, being more specific or allowing such a performance. If not for him, I think it would have gone a little bit better. There's a little bit of a draggy. Where we're getting a lot of the exposition dump. We don't get enough of his relationship with the soldier lady, the one from South Africa. We don't get a lot of their relationship. And so we don't see the amount of respect that they're trying to tell us these two have for each other. We don't actually see it for ourselves necessarily. So that's a little bit of an issue, and that makes for a little bit of a kind of pull you out of it kind of feeling until the end, until we get to the end. Those last, like I said, those last 5 minutes really just, Rick gives up, and then big plot twist at the end is, or surprise at the end, I guess. Plot twist isn't necessarily the thing, but big surprise at the end, and it's worth it. It definitely, I have high expectations, probably higher now, what with those last 5 minutes for episode 2. It's just gonna be, you have to be at least as good as the Darrow Dixon show, because the Darrow Dixon show, the first episode, a little slow, sure, but exposition. So I was expecting this episode to be a little slow, but there were writing issues and a couple of acting or directing issues as well. So now that character's gone, and we finally understand that there is a mutual respect between Rick and the South African character. That all has been, now we're going to have to get Michonne's backstory leading up to this. I think that's what we're actually going to be getting in the next episode. So it might be another slow one. I'm going to watch the whole series, the whole season rather, just because the first episode did enough to make me want to finish the season. But there's definitely a possibility that it could not go as well as I want it to. So all that being said, I do appreciate you nerds. That's all we got this week. Going forward, what's going to be happening coming up? More Walking Dead. I don't think there's anything else this week on the docket. The More Walking Dead, though, is Joe Bob. It's a Joe Bob event this Friday over on Shudder. So I don't know if they're going to be redoing the first episode, which if they are, he's probably going to be interviewing Scott Gimple, who is the showrunner for this. Scott Gimple is an executive producer on the other Walking Dead stuff as well. So the fact that he's showrunning this is pretty significant, which I'm hopeful that that's going to be part of the Joe Bob presentation. So that's going to be on next week's That Just Happened. And I don't know that there's any new music really that we're going to be talking about, or game releases. Peacemaker. Peacemaker is definitely going to be on the list for next week's That Just Happened. So we'll be talking about that a little bit in Mortal Kombat 1. And I think that's all I'm willing to commit to. So that being said, thank you very much, nerds, for joining. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here, and that just happened.